Brie Larson's The Marvels completely bombed at the box office with the worst opening weekend in MCU history, both at the domestic box office as well as the international box office. Let's get into this here. Brie Larson led The Marvels bombed in its opening weekend at the box office, posting the worst opening weekend in Marvel Cinematic Universe history without even having to factor in inflation. According to the numbers, the film only grossed $47 million in its domestic opening weekend. The film grossed $6.6 million on Thursday night, $21.5 million on Friday, $15.3 million on Saturday. Already, we're looking at huge losses, 20% drop between Friday and Saturday, and then a 30% drop, 33% drop from Friday to from Saturday to Sunday. So $15.3 million on Saturday and $10.2 million on Sunday. The Marvels brought in $63.3 million internationally for a global total of $110.3 million, the worst global total for a Marvel Cinematic Universe opening film ever. The top 5 international markets are currently China, which brought in $11.7 million, United Kingdom $4.3 million, Indonesia $3.7 million, South Korea $3.5 million, and France $3.1 million. As noted above, the $47 million domestic opening weekend is the worst in Marvel Cinematic Universe history without even factoring inflation. The previous holder of that title was The Incredible Hulk. The film grossed $55.4 million back in 2008, and that is without adjusting for inflation. So worse than 2008, The Incredible Hulk, without even adjusting for inflation. That's how terrible this film did. 2015's Ant-Man had the worst box office if you factor in inflation. The film grossed $57.2 million back in 2015. Factoring inflation, that comes out to $74.3 million in 2023 dollars. So huge drop between Ant-Man and the Marvels. I mean, we're looking at 74 minus 47. I mean, holy smokes, that's almost a 50% decline. Huge drop there. The film did meet box office projections from Box Office Pro, who predicted the film would gross between $35 million and $49 million. However, those projections were significantly reduced in the month leading up to the film's release. The outlet originally projected the film would gross between $50 million and $75 million in its opening weekend and go on to earn between $121 million and $189 million in its entire domestic run. So it might have met weekend projections, but that's because those projections significantly declined over a month. So I don't know. You can say that a meeting projections is a good thing, I guess, but those projections decreased significantly. I mean, look at this here. 50 million was the low end. It didn't even meet that a month ago, and then the high end now was 49, and it didn't even meet the high end. It was at 47. So really bad here for the Marvels. As for who was going to see the movie, Box Office Pro reports that the audience was 61% male. They also note that 67% of moviegoers were over the age of 25. Finally, they note that 45% of ticket sales were in premium formats. In comparison, Captain Marvel back in 2019, that box office saw 55% of moviegoers being male and 63% being older than 25. Premium formats only made up 34% of ticket sales. So hard to really kind of make any good analysis based on that. I guess you could say that females didn't show up, but I mean, the fact that you have such a significant decline in people going to see this film, it's really hard to kind of make those observations, I think. But because I would say both men and women just stayed home from this, no one came to see this film. Huge drop compared to the original Captain Marvel film back in 2019. As for audience reaction, the movie received an abysmal B from CinemaScore. For comparison, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania also received a B, film that lost lots of money. As did Eternals, that film also lost money. Both Thor: Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness received a B+. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had an A CinemaScore, the only film, Marvel Studios film this year to make any kind of money for the Walt Disney Company. And you just kind of see the trend there, right? Most of them are B+. Guardians of the Galaxy being the exception with A now. Not looking good for the trajectory of the Marvel Studios films and products. Like, people just aren't interested in seeing what they're producing, and for good reason, because what they're producing is absolute garbage. I really thought I wanted to include this analysis here from a good friend of the channel, Odin, over at OMB Reviews. He basically addresses a lot of the social media chatter that's happening where, if you don't talk about the press tour not actually happening and how that's why the box office is so low, he does a good job addressing this. He says, well, the fact that they had even just a few days to promote this movie and the film still came in at the bottom end of their estimates tells me that the promotion doesn't do anything. That promotion, just that going on late night shows, that does not really move the needle anymore. There's just no evidence to really suggest that. And he says the key to kind of understanding this is actually going to be looking ahead towards a film like the Hunger Games prequel coming out soon, because that film will have had at least a couple of weeks worth of it, or at least a full week worth of promotional materials. And indeed, Lionsgate got an interim agreement from SAG-AFTRA before the strike was over, so they were promoting it, I guess, 2 weeks before it comes out this upcoming weekend. And looking at projections on Box Office Pro, it's supposed to make basically around what the Marvels is making, like 45, 50 million. I think is where they have it projected for opening domestically. And so, which is right where the Marvels was. And they've had 2 weeks of promotion, and it looks like it's going to be making about the same amount at the box office. So not really good there either. Obviously, I think the Hunger Games has a little bit of different economics going into it because it doesn't look like they've spent as much money as they spent on the Marvels, which means it doesn't have to make as much money to break even. So that's a good point. But still, it's pacing around the same for an opening weekend box office, and it is indeed having the promotion from Rachel Zegler. So I don't think this complaint that you're saying that Brie Larson, Tiona Paris, and Iman Vellani going around talking to the press, going on late night shows, going on Good Morning America, stuff like that is really driving people to the box office. We're not really seeing people. I don't know if there's any evidence to show that that is indeed the case. And then you can also look at how much people who watched the film in 2018 or 2019 have now decided not to go back and watch this second film. Like you think Brie Larson not talking on a talk show really would have brought back like 85% of the audience or whatever it is. I think it's around there. So this narrative is absolute garbage, and anyone trying to push this narrative is just trying to sell you snake oil. But this movie, absolute disaster at the box office, and it's not really surprising because Marvel's product has been absolute garbage. The company has been captured by woke ideology. They've made it very clear that they're not going to abandon that. They just want to quiet the noise surrounding it. But when it's baked into your movies, people see what it is, and they no longer want to embrace it because they have. I think there's an innate built into our souls, written on our souls, that we don't want to watch this stuff that is against our nature. But let me know what you make of the Marvels failing at the box office.
Subscribe for more.